What's up, guys? I'm Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker, and welcome back to the channel. Now, one thing that has been requested quite a few times on the channel is a video about Mauldin, South Carolina. So today, in today's video, we're gonna jump right into the pros and cons of living in Mauldin. Now, Mauldin is a town in the upstate of South Carolina that I am very familiar with. Actually, between college and when I met my wife, I actually lived in Mauldin for 2 years and commuted into downtown Greenville, where I used to work as a bartender. So Mauldin is one of those areas in the upstate that I have a lot of firsthand experience. But I'm actually gonna start this video off with a con of Mauldin because it was one of the more aggravating things that I felt when I lived there. And that's that Mauldin is what I would kind of call a drive-through town. Now, you hear about flyover states. I feel like Mauldin is kind of a drive-through town. Now, that being said, Mauldin is doing a lot of things developmentally to try and have a lot more stuff for the people in Mauldin to come into Mauldin and have things to do there. But you really do see most people in Mauldin participating in the communities of Simpsonville or the communities of downtown Greenville, because that's where there's a lot more stuff to do, as Mauldin does not really have a good centralized downtown. There's not like a main strip or drag of places to go eat. Sure, you have Butler Road, you do have kind of Mauldin proper, but that's mainly just your grocery stores and your fast food restaurants that go right through there. So I do think that Mauldin does lack in that kind of central hub and that place to meet and gather. That being said, a pro to the location of Mauldin is that Mauldin is very central to everything. In fact, I don't know if there's a part of Greenville or the surrounding suburbs that has greater access to everything than Mauldin. Mauldin actually sits right off of I-85, about 10 to 15 minutes from downtown Greenville. And off of 85, you can get to Spartanburg from Mauldin in about 35 minutes. You can get to Anderson from Mauldin in about 25 to 30 minutes. Plus, you can jump over to the other side to Travelers Rest in about 25 minutes. And then Simpsonville and Fountain Inn are only about 15 minutes away. So you have a lot of great access to everything. In fact, when I was starting my career as a real estate agent, living in Mauldin was one of the best perks that I had, was because I could just access anywhere and I could explore the entire upstate and show homes around the entire upstate very easily. So while Mauldin may be one of those towns that you kind of drive through or pass over, the location of it is very central and does offer a lot of ease of transportation around the rest of the upstate. Now, in addition to being really well located, Mauldin is also known for having a really good school system in its different high schools. So in Mauldin, there are two different schools that are really the main two schools that people will feed into. One is Mauldin High School, and the other is J.L. Mann. Now, if you look up online and you see J.L. Mann High School, you may say, well, that has a Greenville address, and it does, but it is right on the edge of Mauldin. So a large portion of Mauldin is actually zoned to go to J.L. Mann. Now, it's important to keep in mind that a lot of the websites online can have certain biases as people feed information into them as it regards to public schools, but both J.L. Mann and Mauldin have a college readiness score on greatschools.org of 9 out of 10. So these are schools that the general public tends to think that they prepare the kids well for college. J.L. Mann has an overall score on greatschools.org of 6 out of 10, and Mauldin has a score of 7 out of 10. Now, obviously, it's very important that you do your own research on these schools before you make a commitment to move there. And it's probably a good idea to give the schools a call and talk over any questions that you have with them. But as you can see online from some of the general public's opinions, this is where these schools rate. So Mauldin does have a good reputation for education. And I have quite a few friends who actually have purchased in this area so that their kids can be involved in the school system there. Now, one of the negatives of Mauldin's location, I mentioned earlier in the video that it was a drive-through town. Well, the fact of the matter is, a lot of people actually do drive through Mauldin. So you have two main roads, in my opinion, that a lot of people travel, and that's Butler Road, and then that's Lawrence Road. And they kind of come and they intersect in the middle of Mauldin, and both are very heavily trafficked. So if you're coming into Greenville on Lawrence Road, you're gonna find yourself in quite a bit of stop and go traffic, especially as you get through Mauldin into Greenville into the Motor Mile. You're gonna encounter a lot of traffic lights, a lot of congestion, and a lot of that stop and go traffic that you may want to avoid. Now, that being said, anytime you're going into Greenville proper, it doesn't really matter which direction you're coming in from. It's always possible to hit some decent traffic. But Mauldin is seeing a lot of development because of its proximity to downtown Greenville. So there is reason to believe that a lot of this congestion that is already experienced coming out of Mauldin into Greenville will likely continue to be a growing problem. So if congestion and traffic issues are something that bother you and something that you really don't want to be a part of, then Mauldin may not be the place for you. However, if convenience to downtown and the rest of the upstate is something that's important to you, Mauldin may be a great place to look. Now, with my final pro of living in Mauldin, South Carolina, it is the general affordability of the area. In the last 12 months, Mauldin has seen an average purchase price of around $328,000, which may sound high for South Carolina, but when you compare it to places like Travelers Rest, Simpsonville, and downtown Greenville proper, Mauldin actually carries a much more affordable price with the luxury of access to the rest of these places rather conveniently. So if you are looking for a place to be able to get into at a little bit lower price point, Mauldin may be a great fit. However, it is important to keep in mind that Mauldin does not have the same sort of development as far as residential housing as some of the other areas in the upstate do. So it may be a little harder to find a home in Mauldin as the inventory is lower. Now, if you're considering a move to Mauldin, South Carolina, I hope that you have found this video helpful. Once again, my name is Bob Tompkins with the Living in SC team at Real Broker. If you're considering a move to South Carolina, don't forget to shoot us a call at the number below or an email at info@livinginsc.com. Hit that subscribe button, check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you next time on Living in South Carolina.